8:33 now, time now for Keller at Large. Here's John.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Things are definitely starting to heat up in the Boston mayoral race, the campaign which will choose the leader of the key economic engine of our region. So even if you don't live or vote in the city, believe me, this story matters to you. And as part of our continuing coverage, we're going to try to get some insight into recent developments in the race with two reporters who are experienced in Boston politics and on the ground covering this. They are Bill Forry, the publisher of the Dorchester Reporter, and managing editor of the Reporter, Dumcius, author of the 2013 book about that year's mayoral race, This Way to City Hall. Bill, Gin, welcome. Good to have you.
Thanks, John.
So when he dropped out of the race this past week, State Representative John Santiago of the South End said he was looking forward to supporting, quote, the first elected woman of color to lead Boston, end quote. Well, that seemed to exclude John Barrows, who's definitely male and is still in the race. But is Santiago right that it's now a done deal, that the voters want one of the four women?
Well, I would say the window is definitely closing for Barrows and really anybody who's polling lower. The polls have shown that Kim Janey and Michelle Wu are at the top, followed by Anissa Zabi-George and Andrea Campbell. The weekends are slipping away, getting closer to September 14th. And it's expensive to run a campaign. It's expensive to pay staff to get the signs up. So the polls are showing that voters are leaning towards a woman of color, with a good chunk still undecided.
Right, 65% in the most recent poll from the Boston Globe. But Bill, if that's the case, and it's going to be one of those four, all due respect to Mr. Barrows, who's still an active candidate, does that mean we're now entering a period of the race where this whole, oh my gosh, we might have our first female mayor, our first female mayor of color, where that kind of falls away? And we're going to take a much more hardcore look at the issue differences between these women.
Yeah, I think that's right, John. I think definitely, policy decisions made by the acting mayor in particular, Kim Janey, who has the benefit, the huge advantage of being the acting mayor. But with that comes the downside of making policy decisions that can be unpopular. And last night is an example of a double-edged sword, with the Boston School Committee voting unanimously to approve a new admissions policy for the exam schools in Boston. It's a very controversial subject, and one that, frankly, a lot of the candidates have been avoiding. Kim Janey, though, is the person in charge, and she's the one who recently, part of her administration, decided to keep on the Boston Public School Superintendent, Brenda Cassellius. So she kind of wears this issue now just because she's the acting mayor. She's been running a bit of a Rose Garden kind of campaign here lately. A lot of ceremonies, a lot of feel-good ribbon cuttings, and that's a huge advantage for her. But she also now has to wear unpopular things, like for many voters, this will be unpopular. White voters in particular, and Asian voters who have signaled that they're not happy with this plan. So that sort of thing there's going to be fallout from that, and from other issues that'll probably come up this summer.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, I want to talk more about this Latin school issue and how it cuts, and another important issue that is certainly a part of this race right now. And we'll do that when we continue our conversation about the Boston mayoral race in just a moment. Please stay with us.